We got there.
It works.
We got there in the end. So, for those people that are watching this, they don't realise the technology pain spots we've had trying to get this together. So it's very nice to be able to catch you on this screen and have this conversation. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very good, actually. I'm pretty good for a Monday, which it is. So, just before we start, I want to have um, some information on one thing. So when I speak to a doctor, okay, it's generally for all the wrong reasons. All right, um, and 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 we see lots of people with DR in front of their name these days. But do people like to be called their name or their title as a doctor?
Hmm. I would say most of the time, in most places, I like to be called just by my name. However, when I'm at a conference, I do like for people to use the doctor title just because I feel that it gets used many more in many more circumstances for men than for women. And I
Okay.
think it's important that we rebalance that. So today we can just go with Florence, but
Okay.
I am a doctor.
Well, thank you for permission for calling you Florence, but I'm going to go against you. I'm going to call you Dr. Florence for the rest of this. Uh, I'm going to pretend it's a conference. We'll elevate things somewhat. Okay.
Let's go for it.
Okay. Well, first things first, we put that to one side. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. The idea behind this is very little to do with me. It's everything to do with you, where you've come from, what your journey is, where you're going. Okay. This video itself is evergreen, so people, as this community builds up, can watch this, get inspiration, ideas, advice from you, and hopefully they'll make contact with you if it resonates. Okay, as you know, if you go in there, we can all message each other. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Well, you do know the questions I'm going to be asking. They're pretty universal among everyone else. So the first question is really straightforward, but people do struggle with it. Who is Dr. Florence?
I think I will struggle to give a short answer, but I'll try my best. Um, Dr. Florence Coutin is, before anything else, a neuroscientist, um, an entrepreneur, an endurance athlete, and a professional speaker. I come from Paris, which some people may hear. I'm French. I'm very proud of it. And I did. I was a strange child who, at the age of 8, was already dreaming of decoding the brain in order to understand how it works and help people who would suffer from their mental health. And this has been kind of this at the center of my life ever since, and it's been a while now. I graduated from a PhD in Paris from Sorbonne University, which was my dream university. So it was really a big thing for me to be able to study there. And I'm their ambassador now in Australia. And then I worked in Denmark as a researcher before moving to Australia. And now I am like going along on my journey. I am focusing on using neuroscience to help people perform without burning out.
Okay. All right. Lots to unpack, as per usual. Yours probably a little bit more than some others. I'm still interested in this 8-year-old Dr. Florence. Okay. So I've got a son. He's 9 years old. He loves football. Chocolate and all the usual things kids do. And he's a pretty bright kid, nice kid. Okay. But I can't imagine him 1 year earlier than that, starting to think about the brain and its mechanics. Where do you think that came from? Where was the epiphany moment as an 8-year-old?
Um, so to be completely honest, I think it came because I had an uncle who was schizophrenic,
Okay,
and I understood that at some point he did some pretty dark things, let's say. And I guess the kid that I was started thinking or understanding that people can really go wrong mentally and that it comes from the brain. And I guess I wanted to make sure I wouldn't get mentally sick, and I wanted to help everyone who may get sick to get back to a much better state.
Okay, all right. So it's come from a caring place, a place of good intention, and it just fueled your curiosity from there. Now, as you're growing up and you hit adolescence, and we'll have our changes and rebellions and our rites of passage, if you like. And I'm sure there's plenty in Paris. I don't see any difference in my London upbringing. Um, was there temptations to go other routes? So we hear it many times that people dream of being footballers and that they're pretty good, but then they find uh, being a women and they go a different route. But what was it? Did you have other options, areas of interest?
Yes, the other option was actually cardiac surgery.
Okay, okay.
So I'd say as a teenager, I pursued my journey being obsessed about psychology,
Mhm.
and I was reading Freud at 12. I'm not sure what I got from it, just enough so that I keep on reading, but very soon I decided that it wasn't for me. Psychology seemed too qualitative, and I was really good at mathematics, so I liked to measure stuff already,
Mhm.
and I wanted things that I could measure that made me feel safe. So maybe my rebellion was to say no to psychology, but as soon as I discovered neuroscience, I was pretty hooked. But there was this part of me that really liked the idea of just helping others and curing. And I did have this time where I hesitated between the brain and the heart, because they would
Mhm.
be like two the two big things that we need help with to thrive. So that was my big rebellion, but I never really left the track of neuroscience. I just hesitated for a while, and I stayed on my track.
All parts of the journey, and you know what? It's almost like an analogy there. So you had to choose between your head and your heart. Other people could talk
Well,
about that.
the head
It's
was where my heart resided, I think.
yeah,
And that was my real love. But everybody around me was trying to convince me that I was born to be a mathematician. So maybe the rebellion was to say no to everyone and just to stick to where my passion lay.
yeah, I think so. And what's interesting is you've managed to apply your strengths to what your passion is, and that's where you probably come on leaps and bounds. You don't get a PhD easily, and you don't have a solid career off the back of it easily if there isn't no substance behind it. Um, Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Talk about the present day. Let's talk about Dr. Florence today. Okay, not last week, not last month. I haven't spoken to you for a while, so this is good for me. If you were to take a litmus test right now of what your why is, how would you articulate that?
My why was and is still today using neuroscience to help people thrive.
Okay, I like that. So it goes from polar opposites when I ask this question. It either goes, well, it's changed year on year on year. Each time I take stock of my life and reflect, and I've learned something. It either gets refined or it just spirals out, or sometimes it just changed. Actually, no, I had an answer, but now you've asked it, I've got a different answer. But yours has got a constant.
Everything I go through reinforces it, and just confirms that, yes, this is really what I'm after. This is what fuels me with energy, with excitement, and what I want to keep doing.
Okay, we've had lots of discussions over time, and one of my discussions I've had with you, which was I saw a good side of you. I saw something that bothered you. Okay, and say this the right way. So I remember explaining how, and I showed you videos of how my son with a blindfold on can see things without seeing. Okay, and he can, and he
Mhm.
does, and we do this quite regularly, and it's fantastic. Um, and it's very believable. Obviously, annoyingly, you have to see it to believe it. Another irony in place. But I remember your face. I think they call it. toggling. So you can see your brain trying to compute it. Your face is telling me your brain's trying to compute it. I can't understand the neuroscience of how this actually works. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, I absolutely remember that conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you've worked out that conundrum yet?
No, and I'm still fascinated by the topic. I'm sure there are very interesting things to understand, and very few people who are willing to go there because it's a true uncharted territory that many people would just want to deny everything else, every like the whole thing in itself, and just say it's not possible because it doesn't fit with the current model.
Hmm.
Because vision is the number one sense for human beings, and but I am really not that type of scientist. I think if I would do one thing well, is I'm happy to forget what I know to fit and accept all the observation and try to reinterpret what we've seen before, what we've understood before, to create new models. And I think this is really, we will get there in understanding how the brain computes different types of information that come from different channels that I think have not been identified yet. But I may not have time.
Well, the reason I asked that question was to prize out where your thought process and how you look at these problems. And I remember we spoke about this before that people potentially misunderstand science. So
Mhm.
science is this is fact, this is it, that's it, no more questions asked. It isn't. Science is about testing and hypothesizing and then measuring responses and then learning actually what we knew 5 years ago is different to now, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, and so on. So it's always evolving, but you have to test it and to measure it to then understand it, and it evolves. Is that fair to say?
It's absolutely right. And what people may not be aware of is that as technologies evolve, our understanding of things evolve. I like to take always the same example about UV light, because absolutely nothing in our body can detect UV light. We cannot see it, we cannot smell it, we cannot touch it, we cannot hear it. And you would have described UV lights to people 200 years ago, they would have said, well, no, I can't see it, it doesn't exist. However, now nobody would tell you, I don't believe in UV light, because we have built machines that can measure it. And I take that example because I think it really shows that when there will be a new technology that can measure a different type of energy, a different type of medium that enables us to communicate, to transfer some kind of message between humans or humans and other entities, then nobody will be saying, I don't believe in it. So we really are, what we understand also depends on technology. And as technology evolves, we have to accept that what we call knowledge will evolve.
Yes, and I love that. And I love where it's sort of like it comes from the in I can't pick my words though for some reason, unfathomable to a possibility to okay, well some people know this and then mainstream,
Mhm.
so we get this knowledge acquisition which just keeps evolving, but it needs the people to actually let's look at the unfathomable. Let's
Mhm.
start to rein it in. Let's start to nurture it and work with it and play it, toy around with it to add it to our portfolio of what we believe we know.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. This takes a very long time. And a
Mm.
lot of people I find are very reluctant to, well, change in general, but then change in type of knowledge because they feel if one thing that they thought was true isn't true, what else?
Mm.
And people find that very confronting, and because of that, they're very reluctant. So it takes a long time also just to communicate things.
Okay. All right, so next up, we've got a section in the community. I know you've been here for a little while. I've seen you drift in and out a little bit. We've got a section there for accountability, okay, which is part of what investing in yourself is about. It's one of those things just to sort of make sure that you achieve what it is you're looking to achieve, personal, professional, whatever it may be. It's completely independent, okay. Unfortunately, every speaker we have on here, we force or coerce to put something in there after we speak. Okay, and it could be whatever you choose, but we do love that transparency. We love people to be involved. What would you plan to have in there, and why?
So, as you said, we've been trying to have this interview before, and I had prepared some answers. I had done my homework before. And today I just read what I had written, and I had written goals on accountability, and I've actually already achieved two of the three that I wrote down. So I have to evolve. Um, I would go with two different goals. The first one is I launched an initiative called the Burnout Conversation. 223 conversations about burnout with those who deal with it daily. And that means talking about burnout with people who facilitate other people's burnout, let's say.
Mm,
um, People, any type of therapist who support people who are in burnout, HR managers, insurance specialists, policymakers, scientists who study all the mechanisms of burnout. So this is an initiative that I launched this year, and I'm happy to be accountable that in 3 years' time, I will have done everything, had this 223 conversation and have shared them with the community. The
okay, fine.
yeah,
Good. I love that. So please do post it. You have my absolute support, and will be sure to diarise this and add it to the accountability for my behalf for you. And also
thank
on
you.
that topic, I love that topic. Okay. I know you, but when I looked at your profile again before in this community and see how you described yourself and you had burnout in there, I thought, you know what, that resonates with me right now. There's so much in different genres of my personal life are going in that you sort of you can run at a state of exhaustion, but I can't think of the exact terminology, and sometimes I feel like a bit of a hypocrite by trying to help other people in here and doing what I'm doing as well. It's on topic, and it's not me whining a little violin here. But there's many more people same as me or and worse. Okay, so that's why we know it's on topic, you know. So I'd love to speak to you more about that offline and see how I can help with that as well. Um, yeah, if that's okay with you, of course.
Of course, now I'm on a mission to use neuroscience to stop burnout. Too many people are suffering. Nobody is immune to it. We all have to equip ourselves, understand what it is, and prepare ourselves to take ourselves out of it when it comes, because everybody gets tastes of burnout at different points in life. And it's important to help people not go down the path of burnout, because when you reach severe cases, severe stages, it takes years to recover. And
Mm,
it's terrible. We have to do our
yeah.
best to stop it. So
Okay. I think your
then
laser focus on that. I think your laser focus on that is fantastic, and it's definitely from your 8-year-old doctor to the present day, probably 21, I'd say. Um, it's
for double
it's yeah. Okay, all right. I wouldn't say double.
the second
Now,
goal.
you want a second goal? Go for it.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, I'm an endurance athlete. And
Yes.
of course, I have a goal in sport. So I had prepared that I was going to say I'm going to run the Sydney Marathon, but this was 2 months ago already, or a month and a half ago. So I've done that. The next big goal for me will be a huge goal. Oh, thank you. And I'm giving myself a decade to actually reach it. So that's how big the goal is. I want to run what is called UTMB, Ultra Trail Mont Blanc. It's the most famous ultra trail race in the world. It's 170 kilometers around Mont Blanc in France with 10,000 meters elevation gain. It is so popular that you first need to qualify and then you get put into a draw and you just cross your fingers that you get a ticket. So that's why I'm giving myself yours, because there are independent external factors that I can't manage on that timing. But like most races like this, the more you apply, the higher the chances of getting a ticket. But
Yeah,
this is my sports goal, and I'm very, very excited about that journey as well.
I love that one. So, is there a chance that year one of that 10-year, 1 in 10 ratio, which you're giving yourself, year one, you could be accepted and you could crush that by 90%?
So yes, but as you need to be qualified, I will do a qualifying race already in 2024. So by that timing, I would get the first chance of entering in 2025. So we're already looking at a couple of years ahead.
Okay, good on you. I love that. I think that's fantastic. I've never heard that race. I know the mountain, of course, and the pens. But I think that's a really, really good one. And is there a third goal? I don't want to restrict you from having a list.
Yeah, I have tons of things that I want to achieve, but let's just stick to those two ones and not just to distribute my efforts into many directions.
Fantastic. That's good. I think they're fantastic, really good examples, and I can see people get behind you on both of those for sure. And before we wrap up, then, obviously people will be watching this as we said earlier. They'll listen to it, hopefully like it, and those that resonate for, they'll make contact with you. If you could leave them with one main reason to make contact with you, why they should contact you and not other people that they've done videos with, what would that be?
Well, as I said, my goal in life is to use neuroscience to help people thrive. And at the moment, I really focus on helping people, empowering them to perform without burning out. And I think this is as contemporary, as needed as can be. And compared to most people who try to do that, I use neuroscience and peak performance from endurance sport to make it not gloomy, but actually fun and exciting to fight burnout and achieve things in life.
Okay, all right, I like that, and I can see people definitely making contact when this gets a little bit busier and what have you in here. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps us up. These are bite size, and I know there's plenty more to you, but you feel free to post events, give us updates, little snippets of videos, as involved as you like in the community. Thanks again for your time. Okay,
Thank you,
you
Tom.
always get the opportunity to sign us off with an antidote. So, however you'd like to end this is over to you.
Well, you should have told me before. um, well, to fight burnout, the key to it is to feel that you are progressing towards something that you care about. And because of that, I really do my best to inspire people to realize their dreams. A dream does not have to be something big. It can be something tiny. It just needs to be something that resonates with you, not with anyone else. Realize your dreams and you'll thrive.
I love that. What a brilliant wrap up. Thank you very much, Florence. You are an inspiration, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you offline.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom.
See ya. Bye bye.